All right, number 5. Have another quadratic expression, 49x squared plus 25. And they want us to solve using quadratic formula. However, I would encourage you to work smarter, not harder, and use the easiest method possible. So if a problem will factor, go ahead and factor it. If it can be solved like using square root method or some other method that would take fewer steps, then do that. This one I'm going to solve using the square root method. Square root method just says set x, get x by itself, and then you're going to square root both sides. So I'm going to move this 25 over. I'm going to subtract 25. So it's going to give me 49x squared equals a negative 25. And then we're going to divide by 49. And then that leaves us with x squared equals a negative 25 divided by 49. Now the reason why I thought to use this one, I know that 49 is a perfect square, 7 times 7, and 25 is also a perfect square. So moving them off to the right side will give me the ability just to square root both sides. So now from here I'm going to square root both sides. Now the way this works is the square root of x becomes just x, and we say absolute value of it, we want this to be positive, equals, when you take the square root of a number, you have to remember plus or minus. The negative inside the square root becomes imaginary, and then I'm going to leave it as square root of 25 over the square root of 49. So whenever you take the square root of a fraction, basically you're taking the square root of the top and the bottom separately. So at the end, we're going to get a positive or negative. The square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 49 is 7. And then we have I. This is imaginary. So we just get a positive or negative 5 over 7i. All right, number 6. Let's do a new page. Number 6, again, we're going to solve using quadratic formula. Right, 25w squared equals 0.4w minus 0.16. So what I will do, multiply everything by 100 to get rid of the decimal. So basically move the decimal over twice for each term. So it'll be 40w, and that'll be 16. Now I'm going to set this equal to 0 by moving everything to the left side. So when you move something from one side of the equal sign to the other, I'm not showing the work, but I would subtract, and it would become opposite sign on the other side of the equal sign. So the positive 40, when I move it over, becomes a negative 40. And then the negative 16 becomes a positive 16. And then 0 would be left on that side. So I would be interested in seeing if this will factor. I can show you another method that I use for factoring. So I'm going to see if this will factor before I do quadratic formula. So I'm going to multiply 25 times 16. Okay. So since that's a big number, I'll let the calculator do the heavy lifting. But I mean, it's almost like money. We could probably figure it out. That'd be like 400, I want to say. But did we close the calculator? must have closed it out. Alright, so 16 y equal, we're going to do, not y equal, 16 times 25. We get 400. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go y equal, I'm going to let it divide the 400 for me and find all the factors. Due to my quadratic setup, I want to add and see if any of those factors equal 40. So I'm going to divide by x. So this is the calculator's way of dividing and finding all the factors for me. So I'm going to hit second table, and I'm going to just start from the top. And usually I would write all these down so I can see what we're looking at, but 1 and 400, 2 and 200, looking at all the whole number combinations. And I'm trying to see if there are two numbers that multiply to give me 400, but also add to give me 40. 16 and 25 is pretty close. Doesn't, 20 and 20. So 20 times 20, yeah, just seen it. 20 times 20 will give you 400, and it adds to give you 40. All right, so we're gonna factor this one, save a little bit of time. So this is going to be done a little bit different, but I'll explain the process. Since we found that 20 times 20 equals 400 and adds to the middle term, we can write this as, or we can factor this. So here's how I do it. We used to do a guess and check with this leading coefficient because 25 can be written as 25 times 1 or 5 times 5. So I'm not really sure which way. In order to avoid the guess and check, I'm going to put 25 in both. Now this is incorrect, so I usually write myself a note that this is wrong, but it's going to correct as I get to the end. The w squared, we're going to put a w in each parentheses, w. And then at the back, we're going to put those two factors, the 20 and 20. Okay, now we just got to figure out the sign. So the sign in the middle is negative, so I'm adding these numbers together to get a negative 40. You can kind of see that they both need to be negative. However, there is a rule system that says going left to right. First sign tells you the bigger number being out of the two factors you use. Well, they're both the same, so just give one of them a negative. The second sign, positive, means same sign. Negative means different. And it's talking about these signs here. So if this is positive, that means both of these signs are going to have the same sign. And once you find the bigger one, then you can dictate the second one from there. And so since this being negative, that means one of them is negative, and then this one being positive means they're going to be the same. So this one is also negative, which that's what we would have thought. Now we have to fix this part, because if we were to try to FOIL this and see if it equals what we started with, 25 times 25 is not going to give us 25. So we have to try to simplify and reduce. So we look at these two terms and see what is the largest factor we can divide, and we just divide that out. So both of these numbers are divisible by 5. So we're going to divide by 5. Divide by 5. And then same thing over here. If I can divide something out, I'm going to do that here. So I'm looking at these numbers, and again, they're both divisible by 5. Okay, so this would be our factored form. You can multiply and fold this back together and check. 5w and 5w give you the 25w. 5 and 4 gives you a negative 20w, and you get another negative 20, which gives you the 40, and 4 times 4 will give you the positive 16. All right, from there, we would set these terms equal to 0 and solve for w. Now, since they're the same, it's a double root, and I will just get one answer, but you add 4 to both sides. That will give you 5w equals 4, and then divide by 5. So we get w equals 4 over 5. Not sure if that was easier, but you do need to know how to factor as well as use quadratic formula. Sometimes factoring will give you a lot less work, and sometimes it's about the same.